All right, maybe part two here. Truck's got a name. Wife has named it Henry. Henry's undergone a few things since the original video posting. More time has passed than the upload date, if I'm being honest. We just had thrown it up there. It seemed like there was some interest in it. And I was like, all right, well, let me throw some more details out there. It's not going to be here's how I do it, each step of the process, more of just a project update and some decision points, sharing with you what I'm doing and the parts that I bought to make that happen. Oh, and maybe that helps you with your project. So the front clip is off. Let's just pick up on the obvious piece here. I retained the factory mounts from the original frame this was on. Remember, this was an F350 dually. This frame would have been straighter on the original truck, the 56. With the square body, the 80s, the thing drops down. So I had to fabricate a pedestal in here just to capture that as level. You can see there's a lift block in here, and that's just to keep the correct elevation to everything. So this really just levels the mount point, and this is my adjustment for elevation. I think that's 3-inch there on that. And then as you can see back here, the frame comes back up and level. We've got the flatbed mounted. It's now narrowed correctly to width. And so this is pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Pretty tight. I might have to, there's a little lip in here. If I have to, I can create some real estate there if the tires decide to tuck. There's always the part of, are we going to lower this or not lower it? Everything is thrown on the back of the bed here. This is a headache rack. I think I'm going to bring down. It's a little too tall. I found this on Craigslist, so I'm just going to modify that down. I guess as far as ride height, let me tell you what I've been doing here. I marked these shocks in increments, and I'm just tracking the compression of the suspension as we go, so I can see how much it's moving. So far today, even with the big block in it, the transmission is mounted. There's no fluid in these, and I'm missing a few pieces and parts. This suspension has not settled as far as I thought it might. And so we'll see where that goes. We might need to get some drop spindles on here, which is fortunate, this being the C30, that will have that option that gets this thing to the right height. I use the word right. I'm not sure which way we're going to go with this. There's a part of us that kind of likes the kind of tall sitting truck. The idea is to keep it original looking. Funny part, this is like a 30, I might be wrong, maybe there's 34, let's call it 34 hubcap off of Ford. It just seems to nest nicely into that GM hub. Trying to make it look Ford, even though it's Chevy underneath. If you remember, I told you I put a 30-inch column here. D-shaft kit going from the GM steering box up to here. Pretty straightforward, looks like. Unfortunately, this little kit here, it's got a lot of play in that, and I'm probably end up gonna have to buy a new one of these because this is like an eBay special. You know how that goes. You take your chances. And I may have, but that were, if you got 3 parts, I got two that worked and one that did not. When I had the front clip on, I did cut the frame horns off the original frame before I got rid of it. I've grafted that onto the square body frame in order to keep the appearance that this is still factory underneath. Keeping the 1-ton hooks. Those are some beastie hooks there. It goes there. This is gonna be a cross member for the front clip. I'm gonna have to run a little thicker mount on this just to kind of correct elevation. We've already got that part figured out. We already know what we're doing. You see the firewall's been painted. Most of the wiring is gone from up here. There's going to be a rewiring project. So some details in the future to go over with how we're going to wire it. This is a low car transmission shifter for the 700 R4. And let's talk about that for a moment. Why I'm running the 700 R4. My neighbor across the street, turns out he owns a transmission shop. And he's like, you should be running the 4L80, the Turbo 400 if you're going to be towing. And he's probably got something, got a point there. Fortunately, I was looking at this saying, okay, I've got a big block Chevy. I've got 456 gears in the rear. I have probably no problem towing, but I have a lot of problem with gas mileage. So I was looking for the overdrives, and admittedly in my ignorance, I went and grabbed this out of the wrecking yard because this has the higher overdrive over the 4L80. And then it's also being the 704. I don't need the computer like a 4L60. And I thought this would be the easier install. Neighbor and I talked back and forth. We're keeping the engine stock. We've got the 456 gear. He's going to build this up, make this a little more stout. And she says, yeah, you'll be fine. The trailer we've got picked out for this it's 4,000 pounds gross vehicle, gross trailer weight. So we're not taxing the situation so much. When you look at the what these are running in, be it a 3/4 ton Suburban or whatever the case might be, those run in that 6,000 pound towing capacity plus the vehicle weight. And I think we're going to be right in line with that weight wise. Not going to be too concerned. So this will come out and get rebuilt. I'm just trying to locate where this is going to fall on the floor. I was kind of figuring out this piece. This is a Facebook marketplace. I don't know if I mentioned that. And I'm missing a couple of items for mounting. So I'll get in contact with the manufacturer and see if I can get those little extra pieces that I'm missing. Up in here, this firewall bracket, this is a Performance Online POL bracket that I purchased, and that's what's making this work. Gonna have to put a throttle bracket there. What do I have here? I got a little spacer. I'm gonna space off the wall, the firewall a little bit, so I can bring that. I can't see it that way. The gas pedal a little closer, so that the change to these two is not so significant. Try to get those in line. Can do a little adjustment on here. You can see we're working on the dash. I use the word we. My wife is not doing this. She's my cheerleader for sure. Had to fill in a bunch of holes, and I'm looking forward to this. I got if you ever followed AC Design on YouTube when he does his little rattle can spray jobs, he's giving me some inspiration on how I'm going to tackle this. And so looking forward to showing you that in the future. You're looking at, there's a floor jack pack there. There's a big old dent. You're probably not, you're able to make out, but I'm trying to get a little crease out of the roof on this one before I go to paint. So try to get all the interior body work done. We talked about the gas tank being out. Back here is a 31 gallon fuel tank, being a square body. It was just a matter of getting this tank. I was not gonna want to try to fight with the 40 gallon Suburban tank, so I thought 31 was my compromise, and it was enough of it's tight to fit the way things are going. So that's, I think, it for the update at the moment. If this is interesting, you give me a little thing so I kind of know people are looking and processing, and I'll continue to document. Like I said, I'm not necessarily going to show you how I do things, but just point out what I've done, why that decision was made, and what seems to be working or not working, as it might be. A case in point, eBay loose universal joints. All right, thanks. All right, quick tag on to that video. Here's the floor plate with the shifter in that location. Gosh, I came up really close. I didn't even check that. I'm only, what is that, 2 finger widths from where it needs to be. I am wondering, am I gonna fight for the extra hole up? I think I'm gonna leave it where it's at and just make the relief a little deeper. I think that just falls in place better where it's at. So yeah, anyways, there's the little update. This is not the, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to retain that. I have a different throttle assembly to go on the firewall, and was looking at maybe trying to incorporate it with this. Again, want to try to keep this looking fairly original. That's part of the fun, right? When you're in the driver's seat and you've got this looking at you, when everything's working right. But drivability is we're going to keep it clean, keep it easy to drive.